Hello, everybody. This is Debo at Debo's Movie Reviews here, and today I will be reviewing The Irishman, directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Robert De Niro as Frank Sheeran, Joe Pesci as Russell Buffalino, Harvey Keitel as Angelo Bruno, with Ray Romano as William Buffalino, who was cousin to Russell and lawyer for the Teamsters, with Pacino as as an Al Pacino as Jimmy Hoffa, with Anna Paquin as Peggy Sheeran. It was about to say the oldest daughter of Sheeran, and with and I gotta acknowledge Stephen Graham as Tony Pro, Anthony Tony Pro Provenzano, that is, and Jesse Plemons as Hoffa's foster son, Chucky O'Brien. I gotta say, and the Academy Award nominations proved it, of how Scorsese knocked out of the park on his take on Charles Brandt's novel, I Heard You Paint Houses, which was going to be the original title, but Irishman had a better ring to it. And a lot of people kind of say that was a fictionalized account, but Brandt really was a lawyer for Sheeran later on as a medical malpractice thing. And he befriended and wrote the book, which not only was The Irishman a great movie, but the book is also a great read, and also leaves out some book has some details that the novel left out, the movie left out. That is, like how Marcello, and I'm not sure how true it was. I might have to fact check that later on, but an interesting tidbit about how in late '70s, long after a couple of years after JFK was killed, and Bobby Kennedy stepped down from his post as Attorney General due to disagreements with LBJ, because they did not get along. But there was a tidbit about how Marcella's lawyer over a racketeering case, or the counter deportation case that when Bobby Kennedy was Attorney General tried to attempted. The man's lawyer was Jim Garrison, of who Oliver Stone made the movie JFK about. And there's also a reference to David Ferrie, who was also mentioned in one of the main characters in Stone's movie, who was played in that movie was played by Pesci. I forget who played him in The Irishman, but because it was only like a bit part to where the mob, from the part where the mob was getting playing their part in the failed Bajan Pigs invasion. Because of course there's old facts and some theories about how JFK had tied the Kennedy family and the mob, and Gene Conner had ties because of how he was a close associate of Joe Kennedy Sr. and Frank Sinatra, who Sinatra used his influence to do a variation of his song High Hopes as a Kennedy campaign song. And then and the mob thought that they could buy Kennedy, but of course he didn't play ball when he get appointed and Bob Buster and count his brother and senior counsel or junior. Either way, he wasn't a senator, but he was in the McClellan committee, which John was when he was senator. Which, of course, was the whole take on Hoffa and the whole beef between him and Hoffa, which is another thing the Irish, practically one of the key things that the movie got right. I gotta say, Pacino knocked it out of the park as Hoffa, and I gotta say he a hell of a lot better than Jack Nicholson did. Because this one, though downplay, was a hell of a lot more accurate. Because this take on the supposed disappearance looked a hell of a lot more accurate than the one in there. But I'll save that for a review on that. And then you gotta give it to Ray Romano, because though I hated Everybody Loves Raymond growing up, when it was new and all, I gotta say it's kind of the best thing he's done. Kind of like Peter Griffin said, like Spider-Man said to Peter Griffin, everybody gets one, and that's your one, Ray. And hell, everybody in it was perfect for their characters. I mean, De Niro was perfect as Frank Sheeran, who was pretty much the most non-Italian member of the mob to be successful, to be as high up as he was. From like his first call with Hoffa, who accurately said the line, "I heard you paint houses," which was a code for does hits, which gone from Sharon's take from soldier to truck driver to hitman to Teamsters president of a chapter, that is. The 107. And then, of course, I gotta give it to Jesse Plemons as Chucky O'Brien. Oh, though that was not a really accurate take, because real often Chucky O'Brien, though he was the foster son, they were not close by the time of the disappearance. And after Hoffa got out of jail following multiple investigations, mostly by Bobby Kennedy. Jack Houston, aka Richard Harrow from Boardwalk Empire, did a decent job of for what I say was a bit part. And like an interesting tidbit was how a character of David Ferry, who in the JFK movie was played by Pesci, had a bit part. I think I already mentioned that. But overall, Pesci did an excellent job, and I'm glad he came out of retirement for this movie. As he did a damn good job as Russell Buffalino. I mean, I couldn't think of anybody else that could play him. Hell, I couldn't. If you asked me if I would like to recast, because I love playing that game, but like recast movies and all. If I kind of like people ask me if I made them, but this one I'd say perfect as it is. Great cast, great soundtrack. I mean, with Scorsese mob movies, a soundtrack is one of the key components because of great use of 50s music and accurate takes from far-fetched. You could say far-fetched, but personally plausible in my opinion. of how of the Hoffa disappearance, the JFK thing, because like I said, Kennedy did not play ball. So of course they played a part. I mean, because Jack Ruby was a gang, had ties with him, which is pretty much a giveaway after according to the Jason Ventura novel, They Killed Our President, talking about how they planned an escape on Oswald, but yeah, which was a backfire, which of course resulted in Ruby taking one for the team and not talking. And of course, we're back to Sharon. I mean, just oof. Talking about an ultra gangster, because he, for someone who wasn't a made man. I mean, just from, or as the movie portrays, from his days in the war to taking out Hoffa and Crazy Joe Gallo, which is a good movie by him, but played by Peter Boyle. That Peter Boyle did in the '70s. I could also recommend that now. And come to it, I might have to do a review on that later. But yeah, overall, I gotta say, Irishman is a damn good masterpiece. I mean, everybody played their parts perfectly. Great soundtrack, perfect balance of action and drama, and some funny moments from like Jim Norton's cameo as Don Rickles performing for Joey Gallo, which Rickles also was in Casino, but that's for another review. And of course, got to give it to De Niro, knocking it out of the park. And I mean, excellent de-aging on the characters and all from the soundtrack, and pretty somewhat accurate take on mafia history, of post-war mafia history, from like beginning as like the Albert Anastasia hit. Then, well, in the novel there was the Appalachian meeting, which the movie excluded. Like a little tidbit about how Carlos Marcello, who was also on Bobby Kennedy's list and got almost deported, but fought it with an interesting tidbit about how Jim Garrison was his lawyer. And I'm talking about the same Jim Garrison that Kevin Costner played in Oliver Stone's movie. And of course, got to give it to everybody in the movie, because great action, great soundtrack, an overall 5 out of 5 masterpiece. And like I say, one of the best things Netflix has done, especially for the first Netflix original movie that I have just reviewed. An excellent 5 out of 5 masterpiece. I hope y'all like, subscribe, and enjoy, and I'll keep dishing them out.